Okay, the psalm is Psalm 15, and I need a volunteer. Okay, do you want to go, Sam?
He who does justice will live in the presence of the Lord.
He who does justice will live in the presence of the Lord.
One who walks blamelessly and does justice, who thinks the truth in his heart, and slanders not with his tongue.
He who does justice will live in the presence of the Lord.
Who harms not his fellow man, nor takes up a reproach against his neighbor, by whom the reprobate is despised. He honors all those who fear the Lord.
He who does justice will live in the presence of the Lord.
Who lends not his money as usury, and accepts no bribe against the innocent. One who does these things shall never be disturbed.
He who does justice will live in the presence of the Lord. So we have this Psalm of David, and it points out first here that one who walks blamelessly, does justice, and doesn't slander. So somebody who's upright, somebody who has moral integrity. And so I think that's important that we that hasn't changed. We're still supposed to be people that have moral integrity, that act justly, that don't slander against other people. Because what happens when you slander? What are you doing? You're killing it's a form of thou shalt not kill. You're destroying the reputation. We should be focusing on our speech and relationships. So not taking reproach against a neighbor, honoring those who fear the Lord. So we should, if somebody is a God-fearing and a person who acts righteously, we should be promoting these things, especially in our children. I mean, that's something where you want to say, hey, you're doing great, keep it up. We should promote people that are virtuous and correct those who have filled with vices. This is just the right thing to do, because ultimately, when we do this, we're promoting a society that's rightly ordered. We don't want a society that's disordered. Who lends not his money at usury. And I think about this because I'm one that I don't believe in any credit card balances ever, because if you look at the little thing, it says 30% interest. That's usury. I mean, that's crazy, because once people get behind, they can never get out of that debt. And it really becomes a situation where, we're not supposed to do that. In those payday loans or whatever, same situation where it really harms people. And it's usually the people that are getting harmed are the people that can't afford it. People that, they take advantage of people that are in a desperate situation. And so I don't want to answer to God for that. That's something that, typically when I loan to people, I don't expect it back, because then I'm not disappointed when it happens. It says, one who does these things shall never be disturbed. So accept no bribe against the innocent. And I think that's, for judges, and that was always a kind of an issue too. It was a big concern that judges were picked and people in authority that and it happens in different ways now, because if you have great lawyers, they typically have a lot of resources and they can find a lot of minutia in the law to get clients out that probably shouldn't be. And they can come up with things like, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. It's an old reference to OJ's trial, but but people who have a lot of money, they can get out of situations where if you have no one to represent you except a public defender, maybe not so much. You might have some problems, in trial. And so, but here it did happen where people would accept bribes, and that still happens where people enrich themselves based on certain things going on. And so God sees that. God knows every aspect of that. And so we want to be careful that we're not, if we do lend to somebody, we're not, being unjust. We have to be just. We have to be moral, righteous people of integrity. You can't be, a slime ball. That's really what it boils down to, because God will repay you, in the end. And so that's where, And we want to promote a society that is living virtuous lives. Because what happens if we have no virtue, we have no rules, we have no laws, we have no commandments, you have anarchy, what happens? It's might makes right. I mean, that's really the way it works. And whoever has the biggest and most guns, and, I mean, is that the kind of society we want? I mean, how does that work out for the people that, the orphans and the widows and the elderly and, the people that really can't help themselves? That's why society is built, based on justice and not just anarchy either. And that's why we have laws, and these laws are put forth. God said He appoints people to have the people in charge. God grants, and we're to follow their laws as long as they're godly, because they're put there by God. And so that's important too. So if a law is unjust or not from God, let's say it goes against God's law, then we're not to follow that. But everything that's in accord with God's law, and it's, that's kind of the Western society. It's kind of a Judeo-Christian society that we have in America. A lot of the laws we have are based on God's law. And so that makes it, that's the reason why our society is so successful, in my opinion.